Okay, we are live. This is the Senate Transportation Committee, and we're getting back together prior to reporting our bill on the floor, which probably will be maybe Tuesday. I don't know, Jane, you're thinking Tuesday or Wednesday, probably?
Well, we're gonna move it out today, so it'll
Okay.
go on notice calendar for Tuesday.
So it'll probably be Tuesday or Wednesday then. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So with that, I just wanted to make sure that we all, there was a couple of questions yesterday. Michelle, are you on board with us this morning?
Yes, Senator Maz, I'm here.
Let's start off with the first one. Yesterday, there was some discussion about, in the capital bill, we had some language about the train station. And then somebody wanted to know who owned the land or who owned the building. So could you explain that again to us? Because I'm sure it'll be brought up again.
Yeah, certainly, sir. So the land underneath the train station is owned by the Agency of Transportation, and we currently lease the land under the building to the Department of Historic Preservation, which owns the building. And it's not clear to me whether the building is on the historic register or not. I don't believe it is, but you might know more about that, as I know there's been discussions in the institutions committee about that. So that's the status of the ownership of the building and the land.
So wait, give it again. The Historic Preservation owns the building,
Yes,
which is the state then.
yes.
And what was this thing about you lease it?
We lease the land to
Oh.
historic preservation that the
Okay.
building sits on.
Okay, all right.
And the reason is Amtrak is coming through naturally, passenger rail, and it has to be moved. And we will be the one paying for the moving of it. Is that correct?
Well, we gave
So,
400,000 to
Yeah.
the town of New Haven
Right.
in our latest action here.
On transportation or institutions?
Transportation, that was the last 400 that we swapped out, with maintenance and the ARPA, a federal highway 51 million grant. So we have in the T-bill 400,000 going to the town of New Haven for the moving the building.
So maybe I can provide a little more background with regards to the request for the funds. So, we had notified Historic Preservation about 4 years ago that the building was going to need to be moved. And when it came to be, winter this year, we inquired again as to how they were coming with moving the building, and realized that they hadn't made any significant progress. So we became more involved, and we got the town folks together to first of all figure out whether they wanted the building or not, because if they didn't want the building, then Historic Preservation was prepared to demolish the building or to find somebody who might want it, say Middlebury or somebody that needs a rail station. Well, it turned out the town would like to keep the building. It means a lot to them historically. And so we began working with a committee at the town level to figure out, all right, well, if you want to keep the building, where are you going to place the building? And then we brought that presentation in that we gave to you where Trini came in. We talked about the 3 locations. And we also began working with them on what they would want to use the building for, because that would drive our ability to find funding from various sources. So they want to use the building as a welcome center and a museum, for a rail museum, and potentially rent office space in the 2nd story. And so we've been working with them on the 3 possible locations to move it to, on estimates for what it would cost to do the actual moving, which we have confirmed with building movers is possible with this brick building. And, various things such as, what kind of renovations would be required for the building once it's moved, what kind of sewer, water, utilities, et cetera, would need to be done. So we're still refining the estimates based on, moving it to various locations. The prime location they're interested in is property that is owned privately, and that's near to where it currently sits. And so they're trying to figure out if they can purchase that land, which was recently appraised for, I think, $178,000. So in the meantime, we're working on preparing a Northern Borders grant application for the town to receive hopefully the maximum amount of funding they could receive from Northern Borders, which is in the vicinity of $350,000 to $400,000. The rough estimates for moving the building, which clearly are, sort of variable based on how far it has to be moved and what the utilities are going to need to be to fit it up, range $700,000 to $800,000. And there may be other funding sources that we could tap in addition to Northern Borders if that grant is awarded. So we are sort of guesstimating what the unmet need will be, suggesting it's up to $400,000. The T-fund monies would be the sort of last piece of the financing puzzle once we figure out how to what these other grants will yield. Given the fact that, but for the Amtrak service having to go through there, we felt some responsibility for helping with the project. So that's where we stand.
Why
So
they
the
want-
400,000 from transportation is the last piece of the puzzle. The grant money, the grant money that you're applying for is the big part of the money. Where's the money of institution? Because now I'm confused now. So sorry. So where's the institution money come into play? And how much was that, Jane? Do you remember? We should know. I
I
apologize.
don't think we had
I
any
didn't
money.
think there was any money.
wasn't
It was
any money.
more
Okay.
language.
It's
Okay,
like,
more language. Okay.
because we never
So
had a lot of
okay.
testimony on it because I
Okay,
figured.
so then I'm better now that I know that institutions didn't have any money in it. So I understand that. I'm good.
I think the language in institutions allows for Department of Historic Preservation to deed the property, the building over to the town. So the town
Yeah.
would own the building going forward.
Okay.
That
I
makes
understand.
sense in
Yeah.
light of, the 400,000 in the T-bill going to the town, then it's to, really the town is going to take the lead on the preservation of the building.
Who's taking that section of the bill?
Hold on a second.
It's the very last section
Yeah,
before the
so-
effective dates.
You are Senator Mazza.
So the last two sections are for you, Senator Mazza, so I will be doing a bunch of things and I will thank you profusely, and then I will turn the floor over to you to do that section and the final one.
We're gonna turn section 34 over to our conductor, Senator Mazza. And
Jane, you want to do that section?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
I
be,
don't-
okay, let's start, because I don't even know who takes what of this bill. I
Right.
know, I opened up with it, okay,
Yeah.
so let's.
I have the list if you want me to go down through it, Senator Mazza.
Okay, all right, section 1, I turn it over to,
You have section 1 and you have section 2. And then you turn over section 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 to me. And then
do I have,
yep,
wait, what's this, wait a minute, I got. I'm very, let's see. So I have section 1. Oh,
we have the overview of the bill, list of
okay,
witnesses.
that, yeah, okay, that I have the overview of the bill. Okay, we got
And then you
that,
have section 1,
yeah.
and then you have section 2, where Senator Perchlik has written notes. Mazza doesn't have to go over everything in section 2 is in as in other sections, just explains that section 2 is a list of other sections and items in sections. Reporters of those sections could refer back to section 2 if they want.
So who takes section 3?
I do.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
3 through,
I yield to you.
yep,
Okay, wait, now, section 3. I yield to you.
and I do sections 3 through 9.
Okay, 3, let's get this, 6, 7, 8. And, okay, there is section 9. Where is section 9 here? Okay, section 10. You're 3.
Section 10, I yield to Senator Perchlik, and he's got sections 10 through 23.
Got section, so 20, 21, 23. Okay, then who is that?
And then he yields to Senator Chittenden, who's got sections 24 through sections 33.
Needless to say, if anybody wants any of these sections, I have no ownership claim on any of them.
And then let's see.
And then on, tell me when you're ready.
So he's got it all the way to section 33.
Through 33.
What's Jane got?
I
think
didn't.
we're-
Remember, I bowed out. I
Oh,
said
you
we're
after.
gonna- I have a feeling she might have section 34.
Yeah. Let's give her section 34.
All right.
Would you do that for us?
Yeah, I'll do section 34.
Great, that'd be great. Okay. so
And then Senator
you yield,
Mazza,
Senator,
then you would have section 35 as we've got it here, which is the last section, effective dates and report of the committee vote.
So Senator Ingalls, who is just before me on section 33?
Senator Chittenden.
Okay, so Senator Chittenden will yield to me then. Okay.
Yep, for 34, and then you'll turn it over to Senator Mazza for the last bit of it,
Okay. All
the
right.
last
The
one.
date is the federal infrastructure funding, section 10. The incentive program, section 6. Overlay.
I have section 6, which I do expect to get a little pounding on because that's a repeal of the Route 4 truck permit.
Yep.
But that's okay. It is what it is.
And the link to the effective dates is just that it's effective on January 1 of 2022,
Okay. All
which
other,
should come up in section 6, I would imagine, when you're presenting it.
okay, that should come up then. All right, okay. That's that. Okay.
And then when we're ready, I just want to talk about reporting it and how we're going to report it, because unlike what we have in institutions, the only thing I have, and Anthea, I'm going to point this out. I have a couple things. I have this right here, but it doesn't really break down any numbers. And then I have the Senate Transportation strike all amendments, which is this one right here, but it doesn't really have any numbers neither. So I don't really know what I'm going to read, as far as.
I thought we're all having, all you folks getting a recap of the sections you're reporting.
I don't have that yet.
Did you do that, Michelle, or no? We didn't do that?
So,
Or, yeah, did somebody?
so I've provided you with that. The first document you held up, that's the long summary.
Yeah,
The second document you held up is the shorter summary. If you want the numbers, that you're going to need to look to the spreadsheet that Chris has made, and that is posted to today's committee page. And you'll see it's got the sections in the T-bill and how much money there is for it. And then it's got the corresponding big bill sections if you need that.
And well, and being it's the first time I've ever done it, and Senator Chittenden as well, do we need that? Do we need to go into those numbers, part of it? I mean,
In my overview, I give them numbers of all the different departments like paving, bridges, all the investments, the overall bridge program, the roadway projects. I give all those numbers, public transit.
okay.
I give COVID relief funding. I give the overview of that, but is more needed than that? I don't know how.
So I
Well-
think
Go ahead.
Yeah.
okay, so I think for Senator Ingalls, for your sections, the most important number is in section 3 with the maintenance swap. That is sort of freeing up the money that is then used for all of the different incentive programs that Senator Perchlik is going to go through. So I think the individual who's probably going to get questions about, well, how much is going to X is going to be Senator Perchlik, who's going to be like, well, how much is going to the new PEV incentive program? How much is going to replace your ride? How much is going to Mileage Smart? You, in section 3, you have the freeing up of the 3 million that goes to structures and roadways. And then you also have the freeing up of the money for the PEV incentive program, the money for the bike incentives, the e-bike incentives, the money for Replace Your Ride, the money for emissions repair, and the money for Mileage Smart.
So if I was to report this, if I was just to say maintenance budget, this is the federal funds for transportation fund money swap that is possible because of the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2021 December federal bill, and 2, necessary in order to free up 5.325 million that is used for what's HTC, Highway Transportation Committee initiatives, plus 150,000 extra from Mileage Smart and up to 400,000 for relocation of the New Haven train depot as added by STC. Help me with that.
Senate Transportation Committee.
Senate Transportation, yep, that were not included in the governor's recommended proposed programs. I would be fine with that. I mean, I could get away with doing that.
I think that is the gist of everything that is happening in section 3. And I think if there are specific questions about those initiatives, they're better suited to either be answered by or addressed through Senator Perchlik's report on the actual sections on those different programs. And then Senator Kitchell on the 400,000 for the relocation of the depot.
Okay, so I could just kind of use this sheet right here that you've sent, and I could read that. I could use that to report my sections pretty safely.
I think that will give you more information than most people would need for purposes of understanding what's going on in the bill.
Fair enough.
I would say that is on the end of over comprehensive.
There we go. I'm good with that then. I just didn't want to be too little, but I don't mind going a little bit longer. Thank
And
you.
if people really, really want the numbers and how they all fit together, Chris has every piece of the different programs within the overarching transportation program. He links it to ARPA. I see him. He can do a much better job explaining all of this, but that is where the numbers are.
And Senator Chittenden, are you good with?
I have a similar, I have a similar question, Senator Ingalls. So I see the big picture with the yellow markups, and that's what I was planning to basically use on my reporting. But I also see the short version section summary, which is a much more nicely formatted version. Is that shared with all the senators for their reference, or why do you provide it in both formats, if I may ask?
So the longer document is so you can see how Senate Transportation is choosing to propose to deviate from what the House did. So if it's highlighted in yellow, that's something that this committee is recommending. And a lot of times people want to know, especially the other body, well, how did it change? How did you change what we did? We thought what we did was the right way to go. What are you doing that's different? That shorter document, that would be the summary of the bill if the House agrees with everything you're doing. And you certainly could share those documents with your colleagues if you wanted to.
And HTC is obviously House Transportation Committee, and STC Senate Transportation Committee.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you see SAC in there, that's going to be Senate Appropriations Committee.
What is going to be passed out to the members? What's going to be given to the members? The bill is passed that we are proposing.
So the strike all amendment will be in the calendar. If you wanted to, you could provide any of the summary documents to them directly. Chris's spreadsheet is also posted to the committee page for today. So that would be a one pager if anyone really wanted to get into the nitty gritty details of the numbers.
And I got 10 pages, but I cut it down to about 4.5. That overview, different areas. The town highway program, town transportation program investments is 22 million over FY21. COVID relief of the 50 million. So I give an overview of all those departments, and then it'll be broke down by you folks individually. So I think that's what this is.
May I ask another question?
Sure, go ahead.
So of the sections assigned to me, there are 4 or 5 that have no yellow marks. Would it be better for me to just gloss over those really briefly because we're not recommending any changes to the House bill, or does the Senate at large really need to hear the big picture on all the sections since they're voting on it? Is there a preferred format of how much detail I offer on the floor?
That is not a question for me.
Senator Mazza, do you want me to read the entire big picture on all the sections or just the ones that we're changing from the House version?
I don't think just the one we're changing. Is that right, Jane? We should be doing, we did in the past?
I don't,
Let me ask.
what we have done in the past is for you to do the introductory remarks, kind of set the context,
Yeah.
and then do a brief description of the sections.
Yep.
And then you finish it up. That's really what we've done. I think in terms of a document, you could send out, the kind of that summary sheet that Anthea's done for people who really want to get into the details. But I think yesterday's session on the floor will indicate that by the time people were done, they weren't listening.
No.
People were exhausted, and the level of detail on the sinking of the Adirondack just
Right.
about sunk me, to be honest. So I think our goal is to, as I've said with the budget, is people want to know what are the highlights.
Right.
I
And,
like-
and so that's
Joe's
what
thing.
we have done in the
That's-
past. It seems to have served us well.
Senator Chittenden, you want to ask that question to Senator Kitchell that you just asked, or?
Well, may I ask if this is acceptable to the committee? If either Senator Ingalls or I send out the morning of that we know this will be on the floor, the very well composed short summary, that 2 or 3 page document that Anthea provided, that's really nicely framed to
Yeah.
all the senators as an email, and then that way we can reference that and gloss over so that we're really
Yeah,
concise on the
we can,
floor.
Chris, when we did the material for the budget, I think we sent it through the Secretary of the Senate's office. Did John Bloomer send it out?
Yeah, let John do it. Yeah.
So I think, would you just check on the mechanism? But that kind of summary material is what is so helpful to people.
Mhm.
And if someone is really stumped, we always can get that answer between second and third reading.
Yeah.
If it gets to a point where you can't really answer something, and we can do that like we did yesterday, and just before third reading, we'll get you.
It's so hard because normally we would have the documents, we would distribute them,
Right,
and
right.
so I think yesterday the Secretary, John Bloomer, sent out the documents, and we could do the same, use the same protocol for this summary document.
I'd feel much better about glossing over about 4 or 5 sections. If I could say in your inbox, you'll see slightly more detail with a summary.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, and I might take that approach as well, Senator Chittenden. That's a good idea. I mean, if we're gonna send out the sections with the yellow and in their inbox, and we can get through on the short sections, I'm good with that.
I
I
don't need
think you're
to
talking about
nitpick
2
this.
documents.
Yeah, I don't need to nitpick this, but there's 2 documents that the yellow one is what I would not send out. There's this other that came in the same email from Anthea. If you look at it, the short version, it's just really
Oh,
concise.
Yeah,
each
I have
section.
that one as well.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
That's the one I think would be great to send out.
Okay, yep. No,
I think
ahead.
the document with all of the yellow for members of your body that have not been involved over the last few weeks of actually making all of those changes that are highlighted in yellow might be overwhelmed by all of that, because that
Okay,
really is a summary of all of the work that you all spent the last month and a half doing.
Okay, so I'm gonna pivot back to, I'm not gonna read off of that yellow one. I'm gonna pivot on the 3-page small summary, and then if people want to get in the weeds, we'll figure out how we're gonna get in the weeds from there.
I'm gonna read off the yellow one. I like. the
You
yellow
are? Okay.
Worded, but I was gonna reference the nicely, what do you call it, the short version one, that have them to look if they want more details, but
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing here, so I welcome advice.
No, I
Well,
like that. No,
This is new to all of us.
Well, I can tell you, I put the entire budget on one page or two sides. So that's to me, that's really the challenge is what in this do people, the details people you want to share, feel people need to know. And that's hard because it's a balance. But I'll tell you, if you get into every detail, it's like the reporting of finance on the captive insurance bill.
Yeah, right.
yeah. Then when Senator Mazza was 3, he,
Well, that's Senator Benning.
yeah,
Oh, okay, is there any other questions about the bill now? Anything we have before we? I suspect it'll be, yes, go ahead, Anthea.
So one of the things that's happened in the big bill, and Chris can go through the actual dollar pieces of this, is there's additional money from ARPA that's going to the Agency of Transportation that should be reflected in the transportation program. So Chris and I have prepared an amendment that I don't know if that's something that maybe Senate Appropriations should have be its committee amendment, or if that's something that you would all make as individuals or Senator Mazza would make. But it's the 24.5 million for the DMV, and then 3.5 million for water projects, and an additional 500,000 for Mileage Smart. So I don't know if you want us to go through the amendment with you or Senator Kitchell, if you want that to be something that goes to Senate Appropriations. We're gonna take our lead from you.
We're not, that is already in the budget bill.
Right, it would be an amendment to the T bill.
So I think an amendment to the T bill to make it align with what's in the budget should come from the Transportation Committee.
Okay,
Okay.
would you like me to share that amendment now and go through it?
Yeah, and I'm willing to present it, the
No,
alignment, but
As
as,
appropriation, yeah. if
we, because we did not have possession of the T bill, we assumed that finance wouldn't be making any changes in what we passed out. So what's in the budget reflects that. So if we need to do an amendment to the T bill, then and the budget's fine, then it should come from this committee.
so
Because
what-
we're amending the plan. We're amending the plan, the transportation plan.
Exactly, to
Okay.
align with what has been freed up through the big bill.
Yeah, and I don't mind
Appropriated.
reporting it, but I believe it should come from this committee.
Okay, well, let's set that up. If Jane would like to do that, that'd be helpful. And when do you do that, Jane? When you do the last section, that section 34 or 30,
Well,
when do we do that?
Well, you haven't seen the amendment yet, so would you like me to show it to you?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's really, really short. Okay, and I'll get this to Liz to post to the page. This is also what I emailed out to the committee earlier in the week. I have it coming from all of you. I could just switch this to come from Senator Kitchell if you prefer, or one of you who's not Senator Kitchell.
Why don't you, from
Yeah.
Senator Kitchell on behalf of the committee?
Okay, so I'll have it be Senator Kitchell. So the first change is in that summary section, section 2, because now there's going to be an additional $500,000 in ARPA going to Mileage Smart, replacing the $750,000 in the summary section with $1,250,000. The second instance is just a typographic error. I inverted 2 numbers. This is unrelated to the big bill. But in that section where the bridge project is being moved from one program within the transportation program to the other, it really should be 0134, not 1034. So making that change in 2 places. And then by adding 3 new sections, the first one is for the DMV IT system replacement, and it's adding a project for it to the transportation program and authorizing $24.5 million for that project which will align with what's in the G sections of the big bill. And there's carry forward language, which you should decide if you want to keep in. And then the roadway project, this is adding for the phosphorus for stormwater, the phosphorus control plan, sorry.
I've got to go to the door. I have somebody at the door.
Ed, yeah, we'll stop right here for a minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna get some more coffee.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me a cup while you're at it.
You got it. On that previous point, Senator Ingalls, I just sent a note to Senator Perchlik, just making sure, since he's going to be presenting a few sections, that makes sense to him. And assuming he thinks it makes sense to share that document, I'll ask Liz and we'll figure out how best to have Senator Secretary Bloomer include it in the communication.
Fair enough. I'm reading it now, actually.
I always like having something to point them to if they have a question, and that might circumvent or thwart a question on the floor so that we can get through this quickly and make Senator Kitchell and Senator Mazza happier.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't mind embarrassing myself. I just don't want to embarrass the committee.
Don't worry about it. We'll get through it. We always do. I'm doing well financially today. I sold 3 big pies to one of my first customers this morning. Yeah, guy from South.
Chittenden was up there?
Well, the guy from South Burlington, he had
Oh,
$50 he wanted to spend, so I had to
There
take
we
it.
go.
So
yeah. He's been right into the creamies there, this big customer you got. I think he's gonna be back down there because I told him Alice Creamies, the best thing about them is they put French fries in the bottom of the cone.
You know, I bought a pie and I was going to bring it up to you in the north when we went up to the Northeast Kingdom Center, Ingalls, but I forgot the pie. I think subconsciously I wanted to forget the pie so that I would have another pie.
Yeah, yeah.
But oh, yeah, blueberry pie next time.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Next time you come up, we'll go out on the boat.
And Senator Mazza, my son, he's a creature of habit like me, and so he knew it was Friday, and that was I think we've stopped by a couple of Fridays this spring, and so he goes, "Are we going to Senator Mazza's today?" Because I let him get candy every time. So.
well, when you go up to Russ's, let me know. I'll send him up a lunch you can have on the boat.
Yeah.
So was that big bill discussion about what you, I know we're live, but was that big bill discussion about as what you expected, or do they sometimes last longer?
No, it was what I was expected. In fact, we had a double shot because we did the caucus and then we did it after. So on the floor, so it was well laid out. I mean, it was there was a lot of moving parts in this one. Boy, I don't know. There's so much. It's not normal because we don't deal with that extra money, but this year you're dealing with that money. It's very, very complicated. I'm glad they understood it because it was hard to follow because as I said, you replace this money with that money and this money and that money, and usually you work within your own money and that's it. But
I thought the
Okay,
caucus
I'm back.
went
I'm
well.
sorry. I
it's
had
all right,
to-
no problem. We were just talking about you.
Oh, it's okay.
I said how unusual it was yesterday with the budget bill, how complicated it must have been because of the federal funds and this fund and that fund. And oh my God, usually you just take care of our own money. When you're dealing with so many others, I don't know how you all put it together, but anyway, okay, so where are we now?
Well, the amendment that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
presenting.
Yeah.
So I'll put it back up, but just Senator Kitchell, when I send this, I will resend to you my email that has the G sections noted if anyone has a question about where in the big bill that was. Okay, so going back to our amendment. 4A was the 24.5 million for the IT project. 4B is for roadway projects, the statewide phosphorus control planning. This is $3 million, and it's split up between PE, right-of-way, and construction. And these are the recommendations from the agency as to what they think they will be using this money for in fiscal year 22. And then
Is
you've
this,
got-
I don't remember, did I miss
Oh.
this?
Yeah, I missed, what is this about again? I'm just gonna ask that question.
So if you look in the big bill in section G700 A1C, there was $3.5 million for statewide phosphorus control planning and municipal mitigation assistance for stormwater. So that is $3.5 million that's appropriated to the Agency of Transportation. And then this would be authorizing in sections 4B and 4C, how that money is actually authorized to be spent on a new project, and an additional $500,000 for the stormwater mitigation through the municipal assistance program.
Was that wasn't in the House Pass version then?
No, because you added the ARPA funding for it.
We added,
Do you want me to bring up the big bill to refresh your memory on this?
Yeah, I'm confused.
no, I remembered the swap. The only ARPA money that I remember is the $500,000 that went to Mileage Smart. This is not the federal highway, the 52 million.
No, this is in addition to that, 24.5 million for IT for the first phase of their new system project, along with the 3.5 million for phosphorus, and then the 500,000 for Mileage Smart. And I can pull up the.
Then that had to have come out of natural resources.
I think it probably was a recommendation from natural resources that you incorporated.
Okay, all right.
So I can pull from yesterday's journal.
No, it's all right. I'll go back and look. It's kind of hard to keep all the details of 7 billion straight.
Oh, God.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, right.
Senator Kitchell, these expenses were lumped into the clean water section of the ARPA part of the big bill.
Oh, well, that helps. All right, thank you. That's where it was. All right. Oh, all right. So I've got clean water investments and
So I have it up on the screen in the clean water investment section G700 A1C, $3.5 million to the Agency of Transportation for the
okay,
implementation.
yep. Then the 3-acre rule. Yep. All right. Now I know what's being referenced.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I will make sure that you have these big bill section citations, and Chris has incorporated this into his spreadsheet.
Yeah. Okay. Now, but I've got it now. Thank you.
Okay.
And I have it right here on my sheet.
And then there is also carry forward language for this one as well. The agency was not sure if it was going to be able to complete the project in fiscal year 2022 and requested that. And then finally, you've got the $500,000 of that 3.5 million, not in addition, going to the Municipal Mitigation Assistance Program. And you've got your funding source. The increase is the 500,000 from ARPA on line 15.
Okay.
And then the fourth instance of amendment, which is the last instance amendment, this is Mileage Smart. So now it's a split. It'll be 750,000 in one-time transportation fund monies that can be used in either fiscal year, because that's the language that's effective on passage. And then up to 500,000 in one-time ARPA coronavirus money. And that's just for fiscal year 2022. And again, that is something that's reflected in the big bill, and we'll include the G section in our email to you with that information. And that's it. That's the amendment. So it really is linking the three pieces of ARPA money back to the transportation program, the 24.5 million for DMVIT, the 3.5 million for clean water, and then the 500,000 for Mileage Smart.
Okay.
And I will change that to have it just come from Senator Kitchell, and I will get that over to you so that you can get it to the Senate Secretary's office.
Was this amendment coming from Senate Transportation or Appropriations?
It can't come from Senate Transportations because you no longer have possession of the bill. It could come from all of you, or it could come from one of you, and it seems like the direction is that it's going to come from Senator Kitchell and we'll present
On
it.
behalf of the committee, right? Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
We normally, on behalf of, okay,
I think you would probably just say, you know, we wouldn't put in the lead in language on behalf of the committee. It's going to come from Senator Kitchell.
Okay, yeah.
but I would, when I present it, I will say it's on behalf of the committee.
Are we working off of draft number 4.1?
That is the strike all amendment draft.
That's the one. Okay, that's
Yep.
the correct one. Good.
And that is what will be in the calendar.
That's the ones on the calendar. Okay, draft 4.1. Does everybody have that one? Is that correct? Page
It is
4.
also posted to your committee page today.
Okay, all right, we got that. Okay, anything else that we have that pops up that, so you think this will be like Wednesday, Jane, you think?
Well,
What do you think?
I think finance got it out, so I have it. I hope I have possession of the bill because, and then we will get it out today. So
Okay.
it should be on the notice calendar Tuesday,
Okay,
and for action on Wednesday. I mean,
okay, that's all right. So everybody can plan on Wednesday then. If we have any further questions, we got Tuesday to get them to us or get them to Anthea or Liz.
Do
But I-
you need to see or want to see the updated spreadsheet?
Sure, that'd be great. Then we just do it one more time. That'd be good. Thank you.
I can go ahead and put that on my screen real quick. All right, can everybody see this spreadsheet?
Just a little larger if you could.
This is also available on the committee's website under my name. And for the record, this is Chris Root from the Joint Fiscal Office.
Okay,
There were relatively minor changes made to the spreadsheet. In keeping with Senator Kitchell's theme, I try to keep the budget on a page whenever possible. So I apologize for the size of the font. But
Yeah.
for your purposes about reporting what the latest versions of the numbers are, you would take a look down here at column F, and that would be the total numbers in the version that the Senate's currently considering. I flagged in red everywhere where numbers have changed from the as passed by House version. So you can see there's not that many areas. On the far right side of the screen, there's a little description of what's going on. So the State Highway Bridge, that number changed because we're moving that Springfield Bridge project down to Town Highway Bridges. So that change is reflected in section 4 of the T-bill. And the funding for this whole section of the budget, the appropriation is in B903 of the big bill. All of the one-time funding is in these respective sections of the T-bill, section 8 for town highway structures, all the way down to section 34 for the New Haven train station. And again, this column here over in column F shows you where the version that's currently under consideration by the Senate, where those numbers are reflected.
That's on our, that's on our committee page.
Correct, under today's date, under my name.
Okay. I'll figure out how to do that.
Now, every time you see a 4C, like a 4A, 4B, or 4C, that's referring to the amendment that Anthea just brought up. So in keeping with the way the big bill broke out the ARPA funds into a separate G section, my spreadsheet also broke out the ARPA funded things in this little box down at the very bottom. So here you can see, at section 4A, 4B, and 4C, and 13, which were all in that amendment that Anthea just put up, references the DMV IT system, the clean water items, and the mileage smart addition. So you'll see those numbers here. They're all federally funded, but those numbers are not incorporated in the top part of the spreadsheet. They're all separated down here at the bottom, just so you have, so you can match up the appropriate sections of the big bill and cross-reference the appropriations in the big bill to the sections of the T bill. But I did not highlight these in red, but these are all new items that were not in the as passed by House version. So all in all, the changes haven't been substantial from the as passed by House version. We moved that bridge project from one section to the other, which was revenue neutral in the big picture. there were these changes to the AOT one-time appropriations, which are scattered throughout different sections of the T-bill, but you can see here in red what those numbers are. The maintenance line was changed slightly, and that was just due to the swap of federal and state T funds. The overall total did not change. And that's really about it. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood how to read this spreadsheet, because I know it processes a lot of information on one page. But my goal here was to try to make sure you could see it in one chart, what the different sections of the big bill and the T-bill correspond to. If you don't see a number in the T-bill column, that means there's no changes. And the T-bill has adopted those sections through section 1, because that's just in the transportation program as proposed. So I don't know if you have any questions or if it's straightforward, but I'm happy to entertain them now or later.
Questions from anybody?
Oh,
No.
But,
So you just sent that to us, Chris. Can you send it out as a separate document so I can just copy it?
Sure.
Okay, and an email.
I think Liz just might have sent it.
I love that you fit it on one page. That's really useful. Is this the type of detail that the senators at large would want to be able to dig into when we present on the floor, or no? Should we include this as well as what I'm asking on the email with the other documents?
I think we normally did. Isn't this is the one page of everything?
Okay.
I think this is a more expanded upon version of what Neil normally prepared, that usually had yellow on it and was vertical. And I do think that always went to the
Yeah.
full Senate.
Mhm.
I just for the committees, okay, I took it upon myself, and I should have cleared with the committee that we had 2 appointments to make for the T-board, and they don't need confirmations by the, they're just listed as an approval. And I handed them in as being okay. One was Tim Hayward and one was Richard Bailey. They've been on a T-board and they just re-up for another session. So to get them done with, I just said it was okay. So I apologize for not taking it up with the board, but they're not confirmations of a secretary or a administrator. It was just members of a T-board. So if that's all right with everybody, I
Didn't you mention that? I thought you mentioned
I
it.
mentioned it before, but I didn't take a formal vote on it. And then there was, I didn't know if we're meeting again, so I just put it down on there. So don't be surprised, but they're there. That's that. And what else? Anything else we have today? Can anybody think of anything? Like I said, if something pops up, we still got Tuesday, we could meet if we have to, but I think we're prepared and
I think I'm pretty comfortable.
yeah, I think we'll get through it. Jane will bail us out if we have to, and she's got all.
She's always right.
She's always. You heard that on the floor yesterday. Did you hear that? Somebody said she was right, and I said, I too bad I couldn't say anything. You know. They said you're right, Senator Kitchell. I said, oh God. Oh God. Anything else?
I think I'm good.
All right. You can take us off live, Liz, at this point.